You ever play Who Am I? When you were a kid?
Yes.
All right. Who is this? Someone raise your hand and tell me who it is. Come on, you chickens. Who is this?
It's Jesus.
How do you know?
I was told.
Who told you?
My parents and my pastors in the past.
So pastors in the past and your parents told you. Anybody else who thinks it's Jesus found out any other way who this is? Come on, you chickens. Let's play. All right. Yes, sir.
It's the same picture of Jesus that everyone has.
It's the same picture of Jesus that everyone has. Now we're getting more bold. Now we're getting more bold. How do we know this is Jesus? Yes, ma'am.
Isn't that more of a Western representation of Jesus?
Woohoo! Now we're being scholars. Now we're being scholars. Isn't this more of a Western representation of Jesus? Okay, society or the church or our parents or somebody tells us of Jesus. So this isn't a photograph, obviously, right? Right? Do we have any photographs of Jesus? Come on, people! I'm sitting in a room full of college students! Do we have any photographs of Jesus?
No.
Thank you. Thank you. I can't wait to get home and tell Jill I had Jesus on my head for whatever. All right, so we don't have any photographs of Jesus, but we do have some beautiful descriptions of how he looked. Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
No!
No.
Good try, though. Not a single description anywhere of what Jesus looked like. Don't have a clue. We do have some idea, historically and through the church, of what people might have looked like at the time that Jesus was alive. Do we have that? Yes, we do. You don't want to play anymore. I'm having fun, though. Yes, we do. We have some descriptions of what a Jew in first century Palestine might have looked like. Is this it? No. Not even close. This is more Scandinavian. I would put this guy Northern European. This was painted by a man named Salmon. Werner Salmon. And this is what everybody thinks Jesus looked like. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Wait for it, though. Painted in the wonderful historical date of 1941. Jesus lived a little bit before that. Right? Thank you. So Werner Salmon, in his spiritual reflection, created a picture of Jesus. It's kind of funny, but this looks a lot like Werner Salmon. You're laughing? But talk to me about that. Why would Jesus look like Werner Salmon? Why? Why do you think? Come on, get your brains on here. Yes? Bingo! We like to think of Jesus. If we're a follower of Jesus, we see him to look like us. If Werner Salmon was Hispanic, how do you think Jesus would look in terms of his features? Probably Hispanic. If the painter, Werner, was of Asian descent, how might he look? Sure, there's a beautiful hymn that I love. We're talking about hymns called Some Children See Him. And it kind of says that every person who looks at Jesus sees Jesus looking a lot like them. For the very reason, if we are a follower of Jesus, we imagine him to be, and that's all we can do because we have no descriptions or know what we imagine. So is this picture wrong?
No. No.
Come on, I want you to think. It depends on what the question is. If you're saying wrong from a spiritual sense, to have Jesus look like the people that we want him to look like us, this is a beautiful devotional item. And I'll tell you, it does. It hangs in almost every church that I've ever been in. There's a picture like this in there because people love this, especially Northern European, Western, white American people. like this picture. But if you go online for fun and go for portraits of Jesus, Jesus is all colors, Jesus is all sizes and shapes, all kinds of things, often looking like us as a devotional. But if you want to try to do a little historical research and you look for, this does not look like a Jewish man in the first century, and if that's who we believe Jesus is, then in some sense it doesn't look like Jesus. But I don't know if that matters. That depends on what your faith tells you about how it is to connect. I think it's dangerous to say, yes, this is the only legitimate representation of Jesus, but I don't think it's bad to say this is a representation if you know where it came from and where it is. Let me just throw you, I wasn't going to tell you the story, but it's just too fun to pass up. When I was at seminary, a very creative and wonderful woman, sculptor, created this beautiful work of art that she wanted to put in the library at the University of California, Berkeley, where I went to seminary at the G. And she called it the Christa. It was a statue of Jesus called Christa. Christa is the feminine way of saying Christ, and this statue of Jesus looked like a woman. Guess what? Two of the University of California's biggest contributors said, I'm taking all my money out of that library if you don't get rid of that statue. Why would they do that? Yeah?
Because it's accepted norms.
Say again?
It goes against like culturally accepted norms.
It goes against culturally accepted norms. I think it would be against some norms, and it certainly was against the way they thought about Jesus. Yes?
Well, the Bible clearly tells us that Jesus was a man. God, we don't know his gender, but Jesus came to earth as a man, so I can see where they'd be offended if they were saying Christ is now a female.
I am not going to debate the theology of Christ with you right now, but that would be a heck of a good question. I sure hope Rita is here on Thursday. Let's ask Rita what she thinks about the Christa. Theologically, Christ is the... Well, I'm not going to debate it now. But I absolutely understand that's exactly the position that they came from. Here's why I decide, but this is what I want to get back to, and we can't let Jesus go away. We've got to keep Warner Solomon's Jesus up here somewhere, where we can see him. I don't know, we can't see him down there, but that's all right. You'll know he's there. So I want to talk about a cauldron. A cauldron is a pot that stuff goes into which really gets very dynamic. And it's a great way to cook. The cauldron is a hot pot, and in there stuff gets all stirred up and all around. The Christian church is a cauldron. That's what I'd like you to learn from me. It's got all of these varieties of energies, and what happens is because people are passionate about their belief, they say, I'm taking my $2 million out of your library if you don't get that goddamn statue out of there, which is exactly what they said. And I quote. So what do you think Cal Berkeley did? They took it out. The student body raised up as one and threatened to... It was a fun time to be in Berkeley. People were mad on all sides of it. But often an institution says, I'm protecting the money, and the student says, we protect her right to see Jesus as a woman. That's her right. It's a spiritual right. And we're going to fight for that. Even if we completely disagree with her, that's her right. It's a cauldron. There's energies, and it often gets really hot. That's what I'm hoping to do on Thursday, to have a nice little cauldron that we can see some good energy of growth in church. What I want to try to do with you today is take you through the cauldrons that have been the history of the church to see how the energy has moved us forward and to see the passion on all sides of these issues. I'm not going to try to tell you what's right and wrong. I just want you to look at the big spectrum so that you see Christianity as broad. Remember, it all comes back to this question. Who is Jesus? Who is Yeshua? And remember these things that I told you last week. I just put them up there. People usually go to their authority about who Jesus is from these things. Scripture, tradition, reason, and spirit. We talked about